They say that every family has a golden child. If that's true, mine was dipped in gold and polished with pride from the moment she took her first breath. Her name is Ashley, my younger sister, the pretty one, the brilliant one, the blessed one. And me, I'm Carrie, the reliable one. The can you help me for a second? One. The invisible thread stitching the family together, never quite meant to be seen. The first time I knew I was the background character in my own family was in a hospital waiting room. I was 5, balancing a handful of worn Lego bricks in my lap, trying to build a crooked little house. My grandma handed me a grape soda and said, "You're a big sister now, Carrie. That means you get to help take care of her." Her was Ashley. Golden curls, dimples, a perfect birth, Mom said. Everyone hovered. Everyone cooed. I sat there with my purple-stained lips and mismatched Lego house and a growing sense that something had shifted. I don't remember feeling sad, just irrelevant, invisible. Like someone had changed the channel on a TV show I didn't know I was starring in, and now I was just background noise. The hospital was too cold, and the fluorescent lights buzzed faintly, a sound that would later follow me through many waiting rooms. I remember Grandma's perfume, floral, too strong, and the plastic seat that stuck to the backs of my knees. I remember trying to balance a red brick on top of a blue one, but my hands kept shaking. I wanted to ask if I could see the baby, but I also didn't. I had a weird feeling in my chest, like I'd already been replaced. She smiled at me, a distracted smile. "Carrie, sweetie, meet your sister. Isn't she beautiful?" I nodded. She was, tiny and pink and blinking slowly like she was studying us all. Everyone crowded around. Dad, aunts, uncles, nurses. Someone handed me a juice box, like a party favor. No one asked me about the Lego house I'd built, which I'd left on the windowsill. That night, I tried to give Ashley my favorite Lego piece, a little green flat one I always used for roofs. I tiptoed into her room, but Mom caught me and said, "Not now, Carrie, she's sleeping." I didn't try again. In the days that followed, Ashley became the sun around which our house rotated. Her cries dictated meals. Her naps shaped our schedule. Mom was tired. Dad was busy. I tried to be helpful. I brought Mom folded towels. I tried pouring cereal for myself in the mornings. I even stopped waking her up to tie my shoes. Once I set up a whole tea party with my stuffed animals in Ashley's nursery while she slept. I wanted to include her. But when Mom came in and saw, she frowned. "This isn't a playroom, Carrie. She needs quiet." "But she's part of the family," I whispered. "She's a baby," Mom said, guiding me out. "She needs rest." So I rested too, my voice, my needs, my presence. It wasn't like they didn't love me. I know they did. But something about Ashley pulled more from them, demanded more, got more. Every coup she made got applause. Every time I drew a picture, they smiled and said, "Can you hang this in your room?" One time, I built an entire Lego zoo on the dining room table. Tigers, giraffes, elephants made from mismatched bricks. I even labeled them with construction paper signs. I wanted it to be a surprise. When Dad came home, he smiled distractedly. "Can you clean this up before dinner, sweetie?" Ashley, who was 3 by then, wandered in, picked up the elephant and threw it on the floor. The head popped off. I stared at the broken pieces. Dad laughed and scooped her up. "She's got quite the arm." "She broke it," I said quietly. "It's just Legos," he said. "You can build it again." That became a theme. Whatever I did could be redone, rebuilt, recreated. Ashley's moments were precious. Mine were practice. One day, at Grandma's house, she brought out a scrapbook. It had Ashley's baby shower, her first smile, her first steps. I turned the pages slowly. "Where's mine?" I asked. Grandma looked at me startled. "Oh, I must have put it somewhere. Let me find it." She never did. The truth is, I can't pinpoint the exact moment I felt like a supporting character. It wasn't one single event. It was 1,000 little moments. A missed hug, a forgotten drawing, a whispered apology that never came. I learned to be useful. I fetched diapers. I sang lullabies. I helped Ashley build her own Lego towers, even when she knocked mine over first. I became the helper. Because if I couldn't be seen, at least I could be needed. By the time I was 7, I could change a diaper faster than my mom. Not that anyone gave me a badge for it. No one clapped or said, "Good job, Carrie," like they did when Ashley clapped along to a nursery rhyme or colored vaguely within the lines. I was a natural helper. At least that's what they called me. "Carrie's so good with her sister," Mom would say on the phone. "I don't know what I'd do without her." But she never said that to me. Not once. Mornings were chaos. Ashley never woke up in a good mood. She'd scream for juice, scream if the juice was in the wrong cup, scream if her socks didn't feel right. I'd already be dressed and packing my school bag, brushing crumbs from the kitchen table while Mom chased after Ashley with a hairbrush. Once I made her toast, lightly buttered, no crust, just how she liked it. She threw it on the floor and cried. Mom sighed, picked her up and said, "She didn't mean it, Carrie. She's just tired." "She's always tired," I muttered. "Don't be difficult," Mom said, brushing past me. So I swallowed my words, picked up the toast, and cleaned the floor. School was my escape, my sanctuary. There, I was just another kid. Not the helper, not the background, just Carrie. I made friends. I joined the art club. I built a Lego model of a castle during indoor recess that the teacher displayed in the hallway. For a week, kids walked by and pointed. "Whoa, did you make that?" "Yeah," I said, glowing. But when I told Mom, she smiled vaguely. "That's nice, honey. Guess what Ashley did today? She drew a picture of a unicorn. It almost looked real." Later, when I peeked at the unicorn, it was 3 circles and a stick. I didn't say anything. The older we got, the more defined our roles became. Ashley was the performer, the golden child. She sang at school recitals and got bouquets. She danced in tutus and twirled on cue. I clapped every time, front row, camera in hand when Dad forgot to bring his. Then I'd go home and finish her science project because she'd forgotten. I was in middle school when I got my first award, top reader in the whole grade. I stayed late in the library after school and even helped shelve books. When they called my name at the assembly, I looked out into the crowd. No one from my family was there. Ashley had a dentist appointment. "I'm sorry, sweetie," Mom said. "You know how hard it is to reschedule those." I nodded. Of course I knew. Ashley had cavities from sneaking candy into her room. I had perfect teeth. There were bright moments, small ones. My 5th grade teacher, Ms. Bell, saw me. She said I was meticulous, that my writing had heart. She let me borrow books she kept behind her desk, ones she didn't offer to the whole class. "You've got something special, Carrie," she said once. "Don't forget that." I didn't. I tucked those words away like treasure, replaying them on hard days. But even my quiet victories were short-lived. When I got into the advanced English program in 8th grade, Mom asked, "Do you think Ashley could do that too? Maybe you could help her?" So I did. I tutored her, wrote her practice essays, coached her through book reports. When she got a B+ on her first try, they took her out for ice cream. I stayed home to babysit the twins next door. I needed the money. For what? I didn't even know. Maybe just to feel like I was building something that belonged to me. High school brought more of the same. Ashley made cheer team. I made honor society. Her name ended up in the paper. Mine ended up on the fridge behind expired coupons. Once, I heard her on the phone with her friend. "Carrie's like the family assistant. She just takes care of stuff." I waited for her to correct it, to say something nice, but she didn't. She never did. That night, I stared at the ceiling, wondering if I'd always be the assistant, the helper, the girl with her name spelled wrong on birthday cakes because no one double-checked. But I couldn't stop helping. It had become a reflex. When Ashley got her heart broken junior year, I was the one who held her while she cried. When she forgot her history notes, I drove to school and dropped them off. When she wanted to apply to the state university, I edited every line of her personal statement. She got in. Everyone cheered. No one asked what I wanted to do after graduation. I graduated with honors. I gave the speech. My counselor hugged me and said, "You're going to go far." At dinner that night, Dad raised his glass. To both our girls. Ashley for getting into state, and Carrie for always being dependable. Ashley beamed. I smiled. That night, I laid in bed with my medal beside me, the ribbon rough against my fingers. I whispered, "You did good, Carrie," because no one else would. After graduation, the world felt like it cracked open, but only just enough for Ashley to step through. Mom decorated the living room with blue and gold balloons and a banner that read, "State Bound," in glitter letters. Everyone wore her new college's colors. I wore a smile. I had applied to 3 schools, got into 2. But there was no party, no balloons, just a quiet conversation in the kitchen with Dad. "Community college is a smart choice," he said, patting my shoulder. "Save money, stay close, maybe help out around here a little while." I nodded, even though my chest ached. I had wanted to go out of state. I had gotten in, with a scholarship too, But no one had mentioned it after I brought it up once. The cost, the logistics, Ashley's upcoming move. It all got shuffled into the stack of reasons why it just wasn't the right time. So I stayed. Ashley moved into her dorm with 3 carloads of new things: a mini fridge, fuzzy rugs, a new wardrobe. Mom cried and took 100 photos. I carried most of the boxes. "You'll visit, right?" Ashley asked as I helped make her bed. "Of course," I said, tucking the sheet tight. Her roommate walked in and Ashley lit up. She barely said goodbye. Back home, I started my classes, worked part-time at a bookstore, and picked up extra chores. Dad's hours got cut. Mom started working weekends. I stepped in like I always had. No one asked, they just expected. On weekends, I'd see Ashley's posts, her sorority, her football games, her late-night pizza runs. Once she tagged me in a photo with the caption, "My amazing sister helped me write this paper. A+, couldn't have done it without you, Care Bear." I laughed, then cried, then laughed again. Because at least she said thank you. Kind of. One night, I stayed late at the bookstore to reset the displays. My manager, Rosa, handed me a cup of tea and said, "You're always here. Don't you ever take a break?" I shrugged. "I guess I don't know how." She tilted her head. "Maybe you should learn." It stuck with me. Not like lightning, but like a seed. Quiet, persistent. Maybe I should learn. The first real crack didn't come from a fight. It came from a favor. Ashley was applying for a summer internship, something flashy at a magazine downtown. She called me the night before the deadline. "Care Bear, can you help me tweak my essay?" That old name. It still had its hooks in me. "Sure," I said, closing the textbook I'd been studying. Finals could wait. Ashley couldn't. She sent me a half-page mess of cliches and run-on sentences. I rewrote it, careful to keep her voice intact. I trimmed the fluff, shaped the story, polished the edges. By sunrise, it shone. She got the internship. Everyone was thrilled. Mom called all the aunts. Dad grilled steaks. Ashley smiled like she wrote every word of that essay with the ink of her own struggle. And I watched, silent, tired. Later that summer, I found the courage to tell Mom I was thinking of transferring. A university upstate had accepted me. I could start in the fall. She blinked. "But who will help with your father's appointments? And the laundry? And the carpool for the twins?" "I'm not their mother," I said, then flinched. I hadn't meant for it to sound so sharp. "You know what I mean," she said quieter. "You're part of the glue here, Carrie." Maybe I didn't want to be glue anymore. Glue held things together while getting stuck, stretched, and torn apart. I didn't argue, but I didn't fill out the transfer paperwork either. The deadline passed. My chest felt hollow for a week. That same month, Rosa offered me more hours at the bookstore. "You're dependable," she said. "That's rare." It should have felt like a compliment. It didn't. It felt like another set of chains. Ashley came home for a weekend and borrowed my car without asking. She returned it with the gas tank near empty and a new dent in the bumper. "Sorry," she said brightly. "You weren't using it, right?" Something in me snapped. "I needed it for work." She blinked, confused. "You're always at work." "Because I pay for my life, Ashley. No one covers my rent. No one sends me spending money." She crossed her arms. "Why are you being like this?" "Like what, human, fed up?" That night, I sat on my bed staring at a blank page in my journal. I wrote one sentence. What if I just left? I didn't pack a bag that night. I didn't even leave. But something shifted. I started saying no, quietly, cautiously. No, I couldn't take the twins to soccer. No, I couldn't stay late at the store again. No, I couldn't help Ashley draft her speech for her communications class. Each no felt like an ember in my chest. Hot, new, dangerous. But it didn't burn me. It lit the way. Ashley didn't understand. "You've always helped me," she said, confused. "What's changed?" "I have," I said. "I think I'm allowed to." She didn't respond. Maybe she couldn't. I began putting money aside. Not much, just enough to know I could choose something different someday. I researched programs out of state again. I left tabs open on my laptop like tiny windows into possible lives. Rosa noticed first. "You look taller lately," she said with a wink. "You holding your own, finally?" I smiled. Not all revolutions came with noise. Some were quiet, slow, and stitched together in silence. Ashley invited me to visit her campus for the weekend. I hesitated, but curiosity won. Maybe I needed to see her world to understand how different we'd become. Her apartment was bright and cluttered with throw pillows and Polaroids. Her roommate greeted me with wide eyes and louder hugs. Ashley gave me a tour, proudly pointing out buildings and inside jokes I couldn't quite follow. That night, we went to a party. I stood at the edge of a crowd, sipping watered-down punch and pretending to laugh at stories that belonged to someone else. Ashley was in her element, confident, glowing, adored. She pulled me aside once. "You okay?" I nodded. "Just tired." "You should come out more. You're funny when you relax." Funny. When I relax, like I was a different person then. More likable, maybe. The next morning, we had coffee at a corner cafe. I asked her how school was going. She shrugged. "I don't know, I kind of hate it sometimes, but everyone expects me to be amazing, so I guess I try." I saw a crack there. Brief. Real. We talked about small things the rest of the morning. She offered me her favorite sweater to take home. "It looks better on you anyway." It was the closest thing to a bridge we'd built in years. And still, when I left, I exhaled like I'd been holding my breath the whole time. A week later, Ashley called me crying. "I messed up," she said. "I missed a deadline and now I might lose the internship." I paused, heart thudding. Old instincts stirred. The urge to fix it, to step in. But I didn't offer solutions, not this time. "I'm sorry," I said gently. "That sounds really hard." There was silence, then a shaky breath. "Yeah, it is. It wasn't much, but it was honest." We talked a little longer, her voice softer, less perfect. And for the first time in a long time, it felt like maybe, just maybe, she didn't want a savior. Maybe she just needed a sister. I wrote a letter late one night when sleep wouldn't come. Not for anyone else, just for me. A letter I'd never send. "Dear Ashley, I've always wanted you to see me. Not as your fixer, your backup plan, your shadow. Just me. The girl who held your hand on your first day of school, who gave up college dreams to stay close to home, who rewrote your future while putting hers on pause. I don't regret loving you. I never will. But I do regret not loving myself enough to say no sooner. For years, I thought being good meant being useful. But I was wrong. Being good means being whole. And I'm learning how to be whole now. Maybe one day I'll read this to you. Maybe not. For now, it's enough that I wrote it. Love. Carrie." I folded the letter and tucked it into the back of my journal. It felt like closing a chapter, one written in invisible ink, finally made visible. Then I opened a new browser tab and typed, "University transfer deadlines." The ember inside me flared again, this time steady and bright. I sat at the kitchen table, the transfer application open on my laptop, blinking cursor daring me to commit. My fingers hovered above the keyboard, hesitant. Years of shoulds and you musts tugged at me, family expectations, responsibilities I'd carried like a heavy coat. But beneath it all, a different voice whispered. It was softer, quieter than the cacophony I'd lived with, but it was steady. It was mine. I typed my name. The words filling the form felt like small but significant steps away from the invisible thread that tied me to a life I'd outgrown. Submitting this application meant more than college. It meant choosing me. Later, I told Mom. Her eyes widened, a mixture of surprise and something else I couldn't quite place. "You're really going to do this?" she asked. "I have to," I said, swallowing the lump in my throat. "I'm grateful for everything here, but I need to find my own way." Dad nodded quietly. Ashley was quieter than usual, but that night she sent me a message. "I'm proud of you." It was the first time I felt we were on equal ground, sister to sister. Not golden child and shadow. That night, I packed a small bag, more for the symbolism than the necessity. Every shirt folded was a stitch unraveling the past. Every book packed a promise to the future. As I closed the door behind me, the air outside felt different. Brighter, freer. I was no longer just the helper, the invisible thread. I was Carrie, and I was ready to fly. The first day at my new university felt like waking up in a world painted with new colors. Everything was unfamiliar, buzzing with possibility. No one here knew me as the quiet one, the dependable sister, the placeholder. I was just Carrie, and for the first time, that felt like enough. I fumbled through orientation, trying to absorb every face, every name, every hallway. I thought I'd feel invisible again, like I always had at home. But something strange started happening. People smiled when I walked in. My roommate Lena asked me to grab coffee after our first class together. "You have this calm energy," she said. "It's nice. You make people feel safe." I didn't know what to say. I'd spent so many years being useful that I forgot how to just be. But Lena didn't want anything from me. She just liked me. In my creative writing class, I shared a short story during workshop. It was fiction, but not really. I'd written about a girl growing up in someone else's shadow. Afterward, a classmate tapped my arm and said, "That story, it wrecked me. In a good way." That night, I sat on my twin bed, legs tucked under me, rereading the anonymous feedback slips. Words like honest, powerful, relatable. No one mentioned being the smart sister, the pretty one, the golden child. They just saw me. The most unexpected part? I liked being seen. At the dining hall, I started choosing where to sit, not because someone needed help, but because I wanted to laugh. In the student union, I joined a book club and actually spoke up. People noticed when I didn't show. They missed me. One evening, Lena invited a few friends over to our dorm for popcorn and a movie. I ended up telling a story about a disastrous family camping trip, complete with burnt marshmallows and a raccoon raid. Everyone howled with laughter. Someone said, "Carrie, you're hilarious." Hilarious. Me. It was like discovering I'd been fluent in a language I never got to speak before. But it wasn't all easy. Some nights I missed home. I missed the familiar routines, the quiet of my old bedroom. Once, I almost called Mom just to hear her voice. But I stopped myself, not out of resentment, but because I was learning how to sit with the ache and let it pass without needing to fix it. Ashley texted now and then. Short messages, a meme, a photo of her cat. Once she wrote, "You'd be proud. I stood up to Mom." I didn't ask for details. I just replied, "I'm always proud." Walking across campus one chilly morning, coffee in hand, I looked up and saw a flyer fluttering on a bulletin board. Spoken word night. Share your story. I tore off a tab and slipped it in my pocket. Maybe it was time. Maybe the world was finally ready to meet the real Carrie. Spoken word night arrived faster than I expected. My name was printed on the tiny sign-up list taped beside the mic stand. The room buzzed with energy, string lights casting a soft glow across mismatched couches and folding chairs. Lena squeezed my hand before I stood. I looked into the crowd and saw them, Mom, Dad, Ashley, sitting stiffly in the back row. I hadn't known they were coming. Lena must have invited them. My voice trembled at first, but as I read, it steadied. I told the story of a girl who spent her whole life being the glue, the background harmony, who finally learned that her voice didn't need to be loud to be heard. It just had to be hers.